Technical difficulties earlier, Rebel. Trying to get this squared away for you so we could bring you the no BS truth about carbs. Bear with me just a second so I can make sure this is working for you so that you get all the good, juicy details. All right, let's see if we got this rocking. For some reason, Facebook these days doesn't like us doing live videos with the screen share. Oh yeah, there we go. We got it now. All right, just one more second, then we'll jump in. Just making sure we got this going. I had to let Liz go. She was my tech support on this one, but all right, here we go. Diving in. So, do you need to cut carbs to lose fat? Something everybody's wondering. Carbs are the hottest topic out there right now. I wanted to bring you the no BS truth, the answer to that question. Wait for it. No, you don't. What? No, you don't. Say it again. No, you do not need to cut carbs to lose fat. But keep watching. I'm going to take you through exactly how and why that is, give you all the facts that you need to know about carbs, why you need them, why you might not. If you do, those questions answered. First, let's talk a little bit about what carbs actually are. First and foremost, primary source of energy for your body and your brain. You need these to function. You need these for energy. There's two types of carbs. You've got your simple carbs. These generally spike blood sugar. They also do a great job at boosting energy, and they look like sugar and syrups, your candies, your sweets, all of that delicious stuff that we tend to lean towards when we've got a little bit of a craving. On the other side, you've got your complex carbs. These digest a little bit slower, and they give your body that prolonged release of energy. Okay, these are things like your whole grains. Veggies do contain carbs. Some of you may know this, some of you may not, but there are absolutely carbs in our veggies. So if you're tracking what you eat and you're not tracking your veggies, you may want to take a closer look. Another one, and this is a big one, the next piece here. I've seen it before where you're having the conversation and so says, I'm not eating any carbs because I think I need to cut them out to lose weight, and they're shoveling down a big bowl of fruit salad. Guess what, guys? Fruits are carbs too. Yes, they are, and there's a reason for them, which we'll jump into later. So we're going to take you quickly through the role of carbs in your diet. Again, primary source of energy, I mentioned this before, but they're also protein sparing. So what does that mean? It means that the body will actually avoid utilizing protein as a source of energy or breaking down muscle as a source of energy when carbs are present. So they help protect and preserve your muscle mass. They also facilitate fat metabolism. So everybody raising their hand out there that's wondering, can I lose fat if I'm eating carbs? Actually, yes. Those carbs are going to help you metabolize that fat. In addition to that, carbs provide an excellent source of B vitamins. And if you've seen any of the content that we've put out surrounding supplementation and B vitamins specifically, B vitamins play vital roles with the body, the brain function, digestive function, hormonal function. With deficiency in B vitamins, we got a serious problem. So you're absolutely going to want to make sure you get those. And the best way to get nutrients is from whole foods, not from supplements. In addition to that, improves cholesterol metabolism. So if you're dealing with high cholesterol and you're saying to yourself, how do I get this down? Do I need to go to the doctor? Do I need to jump on a pill? Not necessarily. Diet and exercise, always the first course prescribed by most physicians. Carbs can help to improve that metabolism of the cholesterol. Now, carb requirements. Whether or not they're for you, that requires a look individually, okay? Each person is going to be different depending on a whole bunch of factors. Your age, your gender, your particular body composition, current activity levels, and your overall metabolic health. So if you have an underlying metabolic condition, obesity, diabetes, things of this nature, there may be a different need for you as far as carbs go, but they're still required. It's just in which amount. The issues with having too few carbs, what happens is these underlying health concerns come to the forefront for us. Our nervous system can shut down, our hormones can shut down, our performance. It's really, really, really difficult to perform at a high level when you're not fueling your body properly, and that performance declines. Again, when I mentioned protein sparing on the earlier slide, too few carbs, we're no longer protein sparing. Now our body is at sometimes looking at breaking down muscle to provide energy for our everyday activities or our exercise. And last but certainly not least, we've all experienced that hangry feeling, that cranky is, you know what the word is, when we're not getting enough carbs. That's something that we definitely want to avoid, not only for ourselves, but for our loved ones as well. We should call this, instead of protein sparing, spouse sparing, because I know that's how it goes in my house if I don't get my carbs. Moving on. Want to talk about some things that you didn't know about carbs. Now, let me walk you through this. Don't go reading ahead. I know there's a lot on this slide. I'm going to take you through it little by little so that this makes sense, okay? Carbs enhance hormonal output. That's the first point. They play a huge role in the function of our endocrine system, which is where all of our hormones operate from, okay? So as far as the thyroid goes, you've heard of thyroid issues, I'm sure, at one point or another. Well, carbs help convert the thyroid hormone T4 to T3. What T4 is basically the hormone that signals the body to store nutrients as fat. T3 signals the body to utilize those nutrients as energy. So if the body isn't converting from T4 to T3, that's where we start to see weight gain. So too little carbs, and we can actually cause fat storage, okay? Now, essential for insulin control, cortisol, testosterone, and overall metabolism. We're talking about the entire endocrine system here. All of the hormones in the body are regulated by way of carbs in one way or another. Having the correct amount makes sense. Again, it's an individualized approach as to how much you need, but you want to be able to control your insulin levels, control your cortisol levels, testosterone, and your overall metabolism, obviously, if you're looking to burn fat. And taking that a step further, when we're training, we're increasing our insulin sensitivity. Nutrients, your carbs, get used to build or maintain muscle and not store fat when we're leveraging that insulin sensitivity and providing our body the carbohydrates that it needs in order to be able to develop and maintain that muscle mass and not store fat. In that same vein, if we're looking at performance, which whether or not you're an athlete doesn't matter, we're talking about performance in day-to-day activities, in training, in life, whatever it is, your carbs are your primary source of fuel to building and maintaining muscle mass. Okay? Now, I want to be clear. This doesn't mean if you eat carbs, you're going to walk on the stage and be a bodybuilder jacked out of your mind. We're talking about maintaining muscle mass primarily, which means that lean muscle tone, that sexy fit body that we're looking for, That's what this is, okay? Maintaining muscle mass allows you to stay strong, stay healthy, protect your bones and your joints for the long term. It is especially important when we're in a deficit. When we're in a deficit, this is scarcity mode, okay? So our bodies are really not designed to be in a deficit. We do not thrive there when we're in a caloric deficit, okay? But when we're there, these carbs are again going to protect our muscle by way of protein sparing. They also reduce stress, okay? When insulin spikes from the ingestion of carbs, it actually blunts the cortisol response in our bodies. And when cortisol levels are high, that's our fight or flight mode. That's stress in the most basic of terms. So carbs, the presence of carbs turns our parasympathetic mode on. That's our rest, that's our recovery, that's when our bodies refresh and replenish, okay? That's where we want to be after a long day of work, of taking care of the kids, of helping the kids at home with their online schoolwork, of cooking dinner, of trying to get a workout in. You want to be in that parasympathetic mode. So, blow your mind real quick. I usually save this for Mondays, but evening carbs are not the enemy. Myth debunked. Carbs at night, quality carbs now. Remember we talked earlier about simple versus complex. Here we're speaking specifically about simple carbs. Complex carbs. Complex carbs in the evening, those quality carbs, allow your body to unwind and get restful sleep. Frequent carb feedings throughout the day actually may control stress and anxiety. So if you're a higher stress, higher anxiety person throughout the day, you may want to consider looking at spreading out your carbs evenly throughout the day to keep control of those cortisol levels and keep those stress and anxiety levels on an even keel. In addition to that, your carbs actually trigger tryptophan, which gets converted to serotonin, and serotonin is the mood boosting beauty in our bodies that allows us to feel good, so that cranky AF that I talked about before no longer exists. Furthermore, carbs are actually harder to store as fat. Okay. Now, that being said, it comes down to caloric balance, right? So if you're in a surplus, whether that's from sweets or sweet potatoes, if you're eating candy or you're eating healthy food, it doesn't matter. If you're eating too much, you are going to store fat. But generally, carbs are stored as glycogen, either in the liver or in your muscle tissue. It's stored in the liver from fructose, so that's where it's important to get 1 to 2 servings per day. The liver provides a ton of essential bodily function, so making sure it has the fuel to operate is super important. Can't state that enough. So we want to get that fruit in. That fructose is important. Fruit, again, is carbs. Fructose is the sugar in fruit. That'll help be stored in the liver. The rest is going to be stored in the muscle as muscle glycogen broken down for energy. Now, the reason that carbs are harder to store as fat if you're at a maintenance caloric balance or if you're in a deficit is because it's a non-essential nutrient. So technically we don't need it to live, but we do need it to thrive. And that's the point of what we're talking about today, is so that you can thrive, reach and exceed those goals. So compared to fat, which is essential to a lot of our bodily functions, carbs, being non-essential, are prioritized as a fuel source, whereas fats are stored to be able to handle a lot of the bodily functions that they're responsible for. In addition to that, carbs contain essential nutrients that we can't get elsewhere. So earlier I mentioned the importance of getting our nutrients, those B vitamins that I talked about, from whole foods versus supplements. They're absorbed better via whole foods. So these nutrients that we're talking about, your fiber, sodium, potassium, magnesium, vitamin C, calcium, the simple sugars, they get shuttled more quickly to the body, to the areas of the body where you need to utilize them for energy, for that lean muscle, for fat burning, for performance. They get shuttled there via the macros, i.e. your carbs. So if you're getting these micronutrients, these essential nutrients, by way of good, wholesome quality carbohydrates, you're actually doing your body quite a bit of good. So, long story short, guys, this is exactly why you do not need to cut carbs. As a matter of fact, you're probably eating too few. Again, it's on an individualized basis, but something to consider. You want to look at having balance, okay? And I'm not saying that you need to eat all of the carbs, but what I am saying is you absolutely don't need to be afraid of these. Most of the myths that you heard are true. That's why we always tell you, don't conform. Rebel against the norm. Get yourself some carbs. Get yourself happy. Get yourself fit. Trust me on this one, guys. Hope you enjoyed this training. We'll see you again soon with some more. Take care.